Welcome everybody out to podcast number 473. Today we're going to talk about what is our product. Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome everybody. I hope you're doing well. I want to ask you this question as we get started. In your business, what you do as a part of being a construction company, what is your product? What is it that you sell? What is it that people ask you for? I'd like you to just take just a second, give that some thought, because it's a really important question. Some people will have different answers, and I'm not exactly sure what the exact right answer is, so I'm not arguing. I'm just saying I have a perspective that might give us some help here and center us towards some really remarkable behavior. So as we do that and attempt to answer that question, I'd like to go ahead and do a little bit of upfront items. Here's some feedback. I'm getting way behind on the feedback, so I want to start reading some of these. So it says, Jason, you cannot put a price tag on the sacrifices that you make flying across the country to develop people and organizations. You have truly helped jumpstart my journey. You are a blessing to the construction industry and everyone that you interact with along the way. Thank you for all that you do. I hope that you were able to relax and have some awesome family time during the upcoming holiday season. Safe travels. Really appreciate that. That was really sweet comment. And those are paydays when we hear those. And so I'm really excited. I apologize for getting just a skinchy bit behind on podcasts this week. I've been, I don't know. I just been recovering from a hard travel schedule and attempting to get a number of things done with clients, and I'm feeling a little bit caught up now, so I'm feeling really good. We have a great podcast for you today. The question that I've given you, so I just want to say thank you, and I love you out there, and anybody who's listening, we just really appreciate you and appreciate you being a part of the podcast. Last night, I have to tell you, I freaked out, and I'm probably going to freak out today too. So I always check the Apple Podcasts to make sure that the shows are showing up, and it will usually show the totals when I click on the podcast. So, like for instance, it says see all 472 episodes, but last night it just went away, and now it only shows 186 episodes and 2 seasons. And I looked at the other, I went back to Libsyn, and I was like, oh, did the shows go away? Well, what's going on? And the shows are still there, thank goodness, because that's like a year and a half of passionate work every day for at least an hour, right? So I'm freaking out. Katie's like, hey, it's going to be okay. No big deal. But anyway, I'm looking at it and it's just like, really worried about it. So all of that's there. I submitted a ticket to the Apple Podcast show, your platform, to see if maybe that's what's going wrong here. But anyway, I would be devastated if we lost those shows, but it's only showing 186 episodes. Katie said the podcast that she listens to, sometimes this happens to them. So I'm hoping for the best on there. Anyway, so just want to say thank you for everybody. Please stay subscribed. Please stay listening. We absolutely love having you here. So the podcast topic today is, what is our product? What is the product that we sell as a construction company? And I would say, that there's probably a lot of different answers, really good answers, that, we sell finished products, we sell customer service, we sell, infrastructure, we sell vertical buildings, we sell our expertise. I think a lot of those are probably really correct. I'd like to focus on one today that maybe you have or have not thought about. Either way, I think it deserves attention. What is our product? I would say in some instances, and so especially for this podcast, this product that we sell are our superintendents and our foremen and our workers. Now, if you're a project manager, project engineer, or some other role and you're upset with me, please know that I don't mean it in any other way other than I just want to be able to focus on the podcast. But in my opinion, what we sell the expertise and the ability of our people in the field. And when you think about that, right? If you say we sell the product, that's probably a correct answer. So I'm not arguing with anybody on that. But if you say we sell the product, that's fine. But you can have a really crappy journey along the way if you don't sell as your product the workers and foremen. Meaning, you can do it. You wouldn't have a production system in the field that actually was pleasing to the customers if you didn't have trained workers and foremen, right? So if you just focused on the product, you can go install it, rework it, over process it, fix it, you know, uh, basically just get through a messy, pussy job and finally get to an end product. I'll grant you that, but it's not the full experience of customer service, customer relationships, and taking care of the team and delivering the end product. But if we focus our product on the workers and the foremen, and you can actually say the workers, foremen, and superintendents and the product, I would give you that. Um, but I would say that the product in for this podcast is the workers, is the foreman, it is the superintendent. Probably less so the superintendent, more so the foreman and the workers. And so I'm just going to focus on the field supervision, and I'm just going to focus on the word foreman as our product. So if the foreman are our product, then what does that mean? In a company, if you have a product, then that means that you will constantly be improving that product, right? And I'm not being silly about this. You will properly package that product. You will advertise that product. Ooh, this is a good podcast so far. You will constantly being research, doing R&D, research and development for that product, right? You will have product specialists and probably a whole bunch of other things that I'm not thinking about, right? So in a company, and I've said this over and over, but I think it bears repeating because it's so, so important. In a company, you have financial, you have risk, you have risk and legal, sorry, you have human resources, you have marketing and sales, you have operations, there's something that I'm forgetting, but in all of the different aspects of the business, you'll also have your product, right? So if you're looking at a leadership team, usually you'll have your CEO, your COO, your director or vice president of marketing, director, vice president of legal, risk and HR, vice president of you basically your chief financial officer, right? Your chief people officer, and then you'll have your director of operations. And there's sometimes the director of operations is also the product specialist, but in some companies you have product specialists. But basically, there has to be a focus on all of them. If you go provide a product and you don't have a really good legal team and you don't patent your product, somebody can steal it from you, right? If you have a really good product, but you don't have a great marketing director, you're not going to sell your product, right? So it has to be a balanced business. And so my contention here is that we're not a balanced business until we focus on our product. And for the purposes of this argument here, our product is the foreman. So if that's the case, then what does that mean for us? So I have mentioned this before, but I will say it again. Imagine that you have green crews, yellow crews, and red crews. If we believe that our foremen are our product, then we really need to make sure that those foremen that we have highly trained foremen that feel relevant, that know how to measure winning, that are known personally by leadership. And once we know that we have great foremen over a crew, if we're talking about self-performance by way of example, we need to make sure that we have green, meaning high-performing workers with that crew. The things that I'm most concerned about with any crew with our product is I want to know how many days that they've been together. I want to know that they're not installing rework because we want a really good customer experience and a good product, right? And I want to know what their production average is and their safety record, right? And so if they have scores, like let's say scale 1 to 10, if you have a green crew that's like a 9, an 8, or a 7, those are crews that we have to make sure that we're keeping, that we're treating them so well they would never leave. And so a business's focus, or at least the team development focus with our product or our product development focus will be to constantly keep the green crews increase the number of green crews that we have, train the yellow or orange crews, whichever one you want to look at, and move red crews into yellow or move them out of the organization. Right? If we had a defective product, we wouldn't keep that around. So why would we keep around crews that for some reason, through agency, skill, or will not or cannot rise to the occasion? There's definitely somewhere else where they can work and be fulfilled. I believe that the focus is to increase the number of green crews that we keep and foremen, increase the number of green crews with good green foremen, to move the yellow crews to green, to move the red to yellow on their way up, and to move the reds that won't change out of the product cycle, meaning that we don't have those foremen and workers here. Most of the time, it's an issue of leadership, meaning if you talk to the Navy SEALs and buds, in Navy SEAL boot camp, that they would say there are no bad crews, there are only bad leaders. So we have to have the right composition. And again, I would say the biggest indicator here is how many days together that they are. So if you had a good product and a bad product as a part of your production line, you wouldn't say, let's take some components from our bad products that aren't selling and mix them into the good product and move some of the good components from our good product into the bad products. And now they'll all be good products. That would be stupid, right? Somebody would be like, what are you smoking? And the same thing with crews. We can't take 3 or 4 workers on a green crew and add them to a red crew and expect that to turn green. All you've done now is turn 2 crews, 1 green and 1 red, into both. Now you have 2 red crews. So I really think that what are the consequences if we start to look at our foremen and the workers as the product, right? We will, and I'm sorry to repeat this again, but we will start keeping the green crews together and making sure they're so well taken care of they never leave. We will increase the green crews by training and development and professional development for the foreman. We will help the orange crews through a rigorous training program, and we will invite through crew composition training or getting people focused on the right tasks, the red crews to become yellow crews, and we will invite the red crews and the red foremen to leave. And so those are the consequences if we're actually looking at our product development, right? And again, days with the company, production history, whether or not the foremen are doing their production targets. One second. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a cough there. Anyway, asking if they huddle with their crews or if they're making improvements. These are all really great questions. And so, what are the consequences? Going back to the question, if we treated our crews and our foremen like the product, would we have a focus with our team development departments and leads in focusing on, the improvement and the development of these crews, and would we track who and where they are? Yes. Would we package them properly by keeping good crews together and not allow them to mix and match and make them all yellow or red? Yes. Would we advertise and spend more time talking about showcasing and being proud of our people and our foremen with our customers? And what would that mean for sales? Yes. Would we spend more time with research and development for our product, the foremen and the workers? Would we get them the best safety equipment? Would we get them the best tools? Would we provide them the best training? Would we make sure they were able to use the technology and the iPads that we give them? Um, would we help them with their health? This is a good podcast concept. I'm just loving this. Would we get them the right orthopedic care when they're out there on site, like we were talking about with biohealth management with Dr. Grennan? Would we help them with psychological safety and their emotional stability? Would we, reach out to their families sometimes? Would we give them, like I said, professional development training? Would we have really good HR programs where their families could get counseling, right? What would we do to increase the research and development for our product if our product was the foreman and the workers, right? Would we have product specialists, people that were experts in their field that could increase production, that spent time training, where, and if it was me, if I was the owner of a company, I would say all of the best techniques for my green crews, I'd have product specialists that were then working to keep the green crews and take the yellow crews to green. And I would have them stay with that crew until they were a green crew and performing in a great way until they were locked in. And then I would go to the next one. And then I would go to the next one. I wouldn't be so frantic about it, right? So I think this bears keeping in mind. I will say again, because it's so important, we should keep consistent leaders that are effective with their crew. We should organize effective crews based on their skills, experience, and crew culture. We should keep consistent crew composition once the crew is in harmony and making production. Make them feel so valued, known, and relevant that they do not quit. We have to have the right size crews, right? We know the ideal team sizes is four. There needs to be larger crews. I totally get it, but not too many people, not too few. You might have one or two more on the crew to keep swing capacity. Keep crews focused on what they do best. Reduce context switching. Onboard people quickly if they have to come onto a crew, and reduce the need for onboarding by keeping consistent crews, right? Every crew has a culture and a way of doing things. It takes 7 days for a person to be fully onboarded to a new crew. Reduce the complexity of communication, right? Have more communication, better huddles, in right team sizes with visual systems, and reduce overtime. So if we're doing this, we should be able to know on a visual map. So here's a question for you. Do you have on a visual map on something like Miro or otherwise, the crew composition for your green, yellow, and red crews? Not that you're criticizing them. It's just that the yellow and the red means that we want to provide a better experience for them. It's not that we're shaming them. We want to provide a better experience for them. And if they're yellow or red, it means they're not performing, which means something's wrong in the system and that we have to improve either the training, the motivation, or the circumstances of those people, right? And so this is actually a loving system. I'm not exactly sure I would post green, yellow, or red crew images on the conference room wall or broadcast that out to the company, but I would definitely know it internally so that we could preserve them and take care of them and support those wonderful people. And so if we have that crew status, then the company, again, focuses on the right areas, improving their product. For instance, I'll give you, like, if we have 10 products and 3 of them are defective and 3 of them are not great sellers, they're mediocre, I want to constantly be improving. I want 10 out of 10 great, good selling, highly reviewed products, right? Same thing. I want 10 out of 10 highly reviewed foremen and workers that are producing and are happy and are locked in. I don't want a couple of yellow and red crews just because I'm trying to throw workers at an industry economy or economic situation that's difficult, right? I want to do the right thing here. So I think those analogies really bring it back into focus. And then the other question is, are we able from a scheduling standpoint to make sure that the crews know what winning looks like on a daily basis, right? From our weekly work planning meeting, can we, by crew, know exactly what production is required on a daily basis on visual maps so that the foreman can plan the next day? Do we then communicate that to the workers? And are the crews able to go out there and win with production? And the foreman and the supers together create flow using integrated control, tact control, and, obviously have backlog work, make sure that we have swing capacity. We improve handoffs from crews to crews, and we're solving any major issues so that we can maintain production. I think that's really the key. So my question to you is, do you value your foremen and workers like they were your product and what you are selling? If you don't, how could you improve that? If you do value them, what are the consequences and decisions of that? And are you treating your foreman in all relative aspects just like you would your product from a research and development and support standpoint? And so I just ask you the question, what is our product and what are the consequences if we actually knew? On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.